Welcome to day 16 of the Channeling Jesus 28-day consciousness shift. I hope you're doing well. I notice that all of these days of channeling Jesus, it's starting to make more sense how things work, because it's only through actually doing things that you actually get to really properly figure out how things work. And so this body's experience has been a lot of making sense of things, making sense of the reality, because it was very sensitive growing up. This body was very sensitive to the point where it was being ridiculed a little bit, like it had to toughen up. That was the response. And being sensitive just means that you feel more. You feel more, you receive more information from life. So you're actually, by definition, also in a higher frequency when you're more sensitive. And this this masculinizing men and the sensitivity that men has to try and portray that they have to be tough. We are tough. We can be. But that many try to force an angle on it. And that's not a good idea, because then it becomes one-sided. And then you're automatically thwarting your own energy if you're aligned to that. And many beings are filled with these kind of behaviors. And it takes a while to clean up. But it's hard to even start the process unless you have the proper map. And that's what many of you haven't gotten. The proper map of how all of this works. Even in the spiritual field, there is a lot of misinformation. And marketing, this person having a marketing background, knows all about this. And this is something that we're trying to maneuver by being authentic with the way that we're communicating. Because to be in these frequencies, you need to be authentic. That's the thing. Like, I can't lie of what I see the truth is. You know? And that is what it is to be brave. To actually dare to speak. I was just checking my volume. To speak who you are. Because every single one of you are the antidote that this world is waiting for. But the antidote for it to be fully materialized, you are the antidote, just you being here. It's glorious. But you came for the embodiment practice of bringing through your soul into this experience more. That's what you came for. And don't get too caught up with these terminologies, soul. Like, we've heard so many things like embody your Christed self, embody your divine essence, your king, your queen, your magician, your whatever. All these terminologies that are being used more to satisfy and gratify people's egos nowadays, even in the spiritual field. And that obviously is not it. But it is about recognizing the truth and acting accordingly to embody that truth of who you are. Because that truth is always there, perhaps filtered with some perception or some distorted views or some hurts or some erroneous beliefs. And depending how much of those you have stacked on top of your true expression, your soul or your divine essence, your Christed self, they're all the same. It's all that energy of who you are. And that energy is very holy. This other stuff that is impeding that light is not. It's not that it is unholy. It is just that it doesn't align with the perfection of what that holiness is, which is that pure energy. I don't know if you heard that, but there was a cat that went and I just could imagine the defense that is needed to protect your light. That is what these things are. Some of them. Some of them are just misperceptions that you've learned. And some of them are I dropped a little bit where I was there. But the defense of the light, there needs to be some oomph in the system to protect the light. You have to first know what you're protecting. You're not protecting from an outside dangerous force. That's not that type of protection we're talking about. We're talking about a protection of the habits and the ways of behaving that you are in alignment with a high vibration and honor and integrity, and you see past these games that people are playing around you, and that you're able to stand for a different frequency. Many beings don't even know that they're in hell in their own minds. Still, it is awakening going on, and many of you are waking up. But it's a gradual process for everyone. And you all are on different stages of this. You call it awakening. It is an awakening to more of who you are. That means that you will have more energy, more awareness of your senses and your faculties. You will experience more. Unless you have that experience, you're not moving in the right direction. There is more of that. That's needed. I'm looking at the lens and there is a bug going around. Hang on a second. the body's obsessions about things, and that is the body. It's important that we distinguish this for you, so that you can see the different expressions of different levels of consciousness, because we are developing different levels of consciousnesses. And this is what beings were institutionalized for before, because they could hear voices. Like, hello, this is one of the natural ways that humans develop when they get more intuitive abilities and when they have more energy running through their body and when they're more aligned to universal truth. That means that they act, they have boundaries for the right things, for the light, to make sure that you have those nice practices that keeps you smiling, that you maintain those lovely habits that lift you up, that you choose professions that really satisfy you, and that you really burn to spread a message, or that you have that passion inside of you that just wants to make a change. Because we know that it is necessary. It is the next step. It's not enough to just meditate anymore. It's okay, you can do that. But it takes that meditation is the alignment. And then it's about taking that into your daily life and actually sharing that light. Developing that voice, allowing yourself to speak, allow that inner voice to come out. That is what I'm reminding all of you guys. To let that inner voice come out. The gecko agrees. It was very close. I didn't see exactly where I was. The joys of the body, to experience the alignment and the effects of Gaia, confirming something that is spoken through it. This is a different level of looking at the world. Many beings might judge that as being superstitious or not being rooted in reality. And the only reason why they would say that is because they have disengaged from the world of energy. And there's been a lot of things like that in your past history of shushing down that part of the human psyche. So many people will just reject it because of that, because of this inherent thing that they haven't dared to look at. So people reveal themselves very easily when you see the world through energetic truth. It becomes very simple because it is about the journey of the soul. And you are the soul. And you have probably heard all of these stories, and it's been written many books, and you've forgotten who you are, and all of that stuff. And that is all true. And it is a gradual awakening process for each and every level, each and every one of you. Because each have its maturity. Just the same as a flower. It doesn't just bloom just right away. It takes time. It takes the right environment. It takes the right practices for it to bloom. The right water, nutrition, attention for it to bloom. Just the same is a human consciousness. It blossoms just the same. It needs the right attention. It needs the right nourishment. It needs the right care. And each of you require a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of it. This. Just like a cook making a nice dish. He's putting a little bit flavors. All of you require different things in order to bloom. And it's more of an inside yearning, excitement, a curiosity. That's that inner pull that you want to follow. Get in touch with who you are inside. Let that drive you and see where it goes. Dare to see how it goes and where it goes. Dare to get in touch with that. Even if you think you're too old. You're never too old. These bodies can live much longer than what is normal around you. When you are in energetic harmony, you can start to do magical things that might seem magical to you. But that is because you are currently operating in a different frequency. There is a threshold when you go past the dualistic perspective. And when I say dualistic perspective, I'm talking about the internal perspective each human being holds. If they are majority of it dualistic, meaning they have oppositional forces, they judge people, things of that nature, they're leaning towards the dualistic perspective. They will see the world through the dualistic perspective. That's just the way it is. But then when you start to clean up and you start to be over to actually start to work more from the non-dualistic perspective, and I'm not talking about that you necessarily are just seeing through the eyes of those and you're speaking about those all the time, but that you have harmonized the energies truly within you, and you truly don't have any, not that you're just pretending, but that you're truly feeling that way, and you are in your authenticity. When you are there most of the time, you will start to harmonize and align to an other type of being in the world. And the seed is very different. The seed of dualism is very different from the seed of non-dualism. The seed of dualism stems from there is something outside that they're focused on. That is basically the survival. Many beings that don't seem like they're in survival is still operating in some form of survival when they're on a dualistic perspective. Even if they have mansions, it doesn't really matter, you know. It's just a frequency of the lineage that they have inherited. And those are things that can be looked at and start to be harmonized. And that is the whole game, to harmonize those things. When you have harmonized enough, that seed, you start to realize, but you first have to be open that your reality can be different. You have to comprehend that, yeah, maybe it can be different. Maybe you have experienced some miraculous thing. Some people call these synchronistic events. Like you thought of someone and then they just called. Or you received these synchronistic events that just seemed like magic. Those events are Gaia and you being in alignment with the universe. It's some part of your desire getting feedback. It's a feedback system. It's not that fluffy and airy-fairy. It's a feedback system. Once you see what it is for real, Gaia is feeding back, just like the cricket. Something came through. There was a confirmation because the energy here goes really fast, and it was a confirmation. Sometimes that's the miracle, the confirmation. When you start to pay attention to the inside, when you start to pay attention to what's going on in you, that's the other non-dualistic perspective. It seems counterintuitive because it's the opposite of what people have told us in the dualistic perspective. Don't be so selfish. Of course, it makes perfect sense. Because if they go around saying that, that's going to lead to that. So we have to be more selfish. Not in an egocentric way. Right? But caring about how you feel, what you do, how you dress, how you smell, how you want to be, what you want to do in the world. You know, take responsibility of yourself first and your actions. Take responsibility of your actions. See yourself clearly. It's a level of responsibility in this other way of behaving, but it is much more rewarding, I want to say, because you experience so much magic in your life. So there is a level of taking responsibility of what happened in the dualistic perspective. Why did you get lost in there? Why did you do that thing? Why did you do that with that person? Because all of these habits stem from energies that can be fixed now by looking back, changing your awareness of what actually happened. When you see the energetic truth of all of that, you're free from it. You don't need to go through endless healing. You just have to really just acknowledge and know what happened. Truly. Not being victimized, but like energetically, what happened? That person who grew up in an environment where they thought a lot doesn't feel their bodies at all. So of course he's not gonna know what I feel. And I want him to feel me or her. Right? And they don't because they're not embodied. That makes perfect sense. Of course I thought that, like, you know, parents are supposed to know better because they're grown up. But it's not. It's so backwards here. Because people are a bit lost. People are a bit lost here in this world. Truly. If you really look at it. If you want to look at it. And so, the more serious you are about your spiritual practice, the more you would want to clean your vibration up like this. If you want to move to the non-dualistic perspective, you have to clean up everything that you have going on in the dualistic perspective first. Because that's baggage that you can't carry with you. And it just means we're just talking energy here. I am not so attached to like if the relationship comes with you or not, because they may or they may not. You might see your life completely different. I certainly did. I saw it completely different. And I suddenly saw reality, and I've been praying for that for years. Jesus, please change my perception so I can see the truth. Gradually, that sentence has gradually altered the way that I see the world. over many, many years of saying that. Many, many small alterations. It's such... I didn't even believe properly through this body. This body... No, correction. This body didn't believe that this was possible. Because everywhere around us, we heard that it was not possible. My desire was very strong. And we don't always know how. That's why we have to follow the body and be able to read the map of this world. Be able to read what things mean when something really happens to you. When someone opens your heart. Right? The gecko again. When someone opens your heart, do you go straight in love, and go all in there? It can be wonderful. But that is the ego's interpretation. It doesn't mean that it's not wonderful. But there is a particular interpretation around that gets people hooked, believing that it's something else than it is. Sometimes there is a higher purpose for coming together purely for joy. But sometimes there is a coming together to clean up old things. And that is what's called karmic relationships. Many people call it that. And that is basically just, you can feel heart opening then. But that doesn't mean that it always means love. It means, hi, my soul recognizes your soul. That is the body's way of communicating that. We have to pay really close attention to what things mean, what feelings mean. We don't want to just make up meaning because of what we have been told. So, and there are a lot of these things that needs to be corrected. What feelings mean what? Because that is how you get to determine this world, when you get to interpret the signals of the body. This is what the body's manual is supposed to be. You have to know the signals and what they mean in order for you to maneuver it properly and be able to look after it and its environment. You're beautiful souls. You came here to shine. There's nothing more joyful to me than to see someone in their full integrity, doing their magic and their art, and they're shining so much that it touches many. That's one of my favorite things to see on AGTV. It really is. Because that frequency is that. That is someone. I can tell when someone is faking it and they're just lip serving, and they've practiced enough of that vocal cord that they just sounds really good. But they don't have that connection. They're not really bringing in a frequency. They're just sounding good. And that doesn't do it for me. And then I know that person is not embodied yet. That's what it is. That's why singing is so closely linked to singing and soul embodiment, actually. Because you are bringing through a different energy. But the key is to bring that through all the time. Every day. So that in behavior, you're behaving like that person. That person that is proud to be who he or she is. Or it, or whatever other pronouns. let's not go there. Just having fun there. Just being you. Being your unique energy. That is what this game is about. Even in business. That's the ones that become really successful. They are so aligned with what they want to achieve here in this world. It's getting dark. Thank you so much for joining me here on this Channeling Jesus session. I would really appreciate if you could let me know how you like it so far. I really like to read your comments, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Ciao.